Hey everyone, Mano back here, and today we are talking about how to knock out the Vault of Glass raid challenges. Every encounter has a special challenge modifier that rotates from week to week. When you complete the special conditions necessary for that encounter, you'll get an extra piece of loot and also get one more triumph knocked out in your quest for the Fatebreaker Seal and Title. In this video, we are covering the Oracle encounter. The challenge is named the only Oracle for you, and while it seems simple, it takes a little bit of planning to get it knocked out. But in general, the basic idea is that a player cannot destroy the same Oracle more than once. This means those teams who are dependent on one or two people to clear all the Oracles are going to have to use a new strategy, as every single person will have to be included in clearing the Oracles. For those of you that are new to this encounter, what you need to do is shoot the oracles, or the small geometric Vex-like constructs that are scattered throughout the Templar's well. You have to shoot them in a certain order. Basically, what's going to happen is each round there's going to be a small preview where they show you a pattern twice before the oracles truly spawn. As soon as you see them all appear, you shoot them in the actual order, and once you do that, they'll sing the refrain, which means you will move on to the next round. If at any time you let them go for too long, or if you shoot them in the wrong order, you'll be marked for negation. At that point, your team will either wipe, or your team can go down into the well in the middle of the encounter area and use that to clear yourself from the mark of negation. However, you only get a few chances to do this. There are 5 rounds of oracles in total, starting off with 3 oracles, and every round adding another oracle until you get all 7 oracles in the rotation. Think of it as a Vex version of concentration. While you're trying to complete this, there are going to be waves of enemies and snipers off on the sides of the map trying to knock you off your concentration. We're going to jump into the Templar as well, show you where all the oracles are spawning up, and show you the strategy that our team used to clear this on day 1. All right, so most people who have done this encounter multiple times have seen where these oracles spawn up, but just to confirm, if you are doing this for the first time, or maybe just want a quick refresher, there is an oracle right here. This is the center one. Then we're going to go to the left side and check those out, and then we're going to go to the right side. So we have the center one right here. We have the first one on the left side, which is L1. Then we have L2, which is right here. Next, we have L3, which is right here in this position. So we have L3, L2, L1, and then the center oracle. Next up on the right side, so here's the center again. We've got the right side, right 1, R1 right here in this position. Next up, we have R2, which is in this position here. And finally, we have R3. There's lots of different ways to tackle this, but what our group did on day 1 and what we found to be very successful is that we just rotated from oracle to oracle, and each person was responsible for their singular oracle. So for example, for the first rotation of the oracles, I would start here. I would be responsible for shooting only this oracle here. On the next set of oracles, our whole group rotated counterclockwise. So at this point, I would rotate from here to here, and this would be the oracle that I would shoot, and so on and so forth. So the next one I would be responsible for shooting is right here. You will have to make sure that you cover on the final rotation. Since there are 7 oracles, you're going to have someone shoot twice. So what I really recommend is maybe having the person who is shooting this one on the last rotation also be the person that is taking care of the center one as well. So just to give you a quick refresher, when we did the rotation, I started here on L3, or you can have any teammate. Another person is on this spot. Another person is on this spot, also covering this position here. And the reason I like that position is there's a lot of cover between all the different snipers and things like that. There's also a lot of lanes for good cover fire, so they can cover other people who are here. So as soon as we did the first set of oracles, if there was an oracle here, I shot it. If there wasn't an oracle, I still rotated. So for example, if there was no oracle on L3, the next round of oracles, I would rotate to this position just to make sure that no one double shot any of the oracles. So went from L2 to L1 in the center. Then we had someone who was over on R1. Then that person rotated to R2. and then R3. Now, what we did is if you are on R3, we then moved over to L3. So we just rotated in a big circle. It was pretty easy to do. And the other reason why I like using the L1 in the center for the same is because there is a lot of cover, but also because back here, you're going to be taking a lot of fire. Shooting 2 oracles back here is going to be kind of a struggle. So that would be my recommendation. All right, let's talk weapon choices. So when you are in this encounter trying to get the oracles killed as soon as you possibly can, the best weapon that you can bring is the Xenophage machine gun. The reason why is because it hits ridiculously hard with explosive ammunition, and it will one-shot all the oracles. Despite any kind of armor set or anything else like that you've got on, or mods from the raid, it will help you to shoot the oracles as quickly as possible. The reason you want to get that done is your teammates are going to be under severe fire. There's going to be snipers all over the map. In addition, there's going to be a ton of enemies coming from the center of the Templar as well. So being able to shoot them and then move as soon as you can is going to be a really good choice. Next up, other weapons you might want to bring are things that have auto-loading holster on them. Being able to shoot really quickly on snipers or anything else like that, and then being able to move really quickly is a great choice. Having a blinding grenade launcher would be a really good choice in here as well. Truth Teller or Empty Vessel will do some good work in making sure that the enemies that come out of the different sides won't have a time to kill you because they'll be blinded. So really quickly shoot them with the grenade launcher. Also, having something with Firefly or any kind of an explosive round is going to be helpful in clearing all the trash mobs. For the hunters, I would recommend either using a stasis subclass build built around freezing lots of different enemies and then smashing them, or my favorite build, using a top tree or bottom tree Night Stalker. Now, in this particular build, I'm going to use the top tree because I'm going to use my tether to stun lots of enemies coming out of the Templar as well in that location. That'll allow my teammates to survive, but I'll also be able to generate a lot of orbs. If I'm up in this position over here, I can also tether pretty easily. Also, if I'm over on the right side, I can stay alive. By using the class ability, I can actually go invisible if something happens. If you're using the bottom tree, you can use smoke grenades to stay invisible and stay alive. Also, Obnoculous is not a terrible choice if you need to stay alive as well. Titans, you have a lot of different choices you can make on your subclasses as you're getting ready for this encounter. I personally love the middle tree Code of the Commander Sentinel subclass because of the ability to use resupply. You're going to be using a lot of grenades to suppress enemies that are going to be coming through here. Plus, it's also void, so some of the void shielded enemies will be dealt with really easily. Being able to use your super together with that, and especially like something like Doomfang Pauldrons, not only will you be able to generate a lot of grenade energy, melee energy, you'll also be able to keep your team alive with the resupply bonus. You and nearby enemies regain health as well as grenade and melee energy when your void detonators explode. Pop a grenade at a ton of the enemies that are coming through there, and you'll be good to go. I wouldn't recommend using the shield bash. I would really recommend using the banner shield in combination with the Doomfang Pauldrons if you're going to run that class. If you do decide to go with the top tree with the Ward of Dawn, do know that you only really have about 30 seconds of temporary safety. I don't really recommend using this particular class during this encounter unless if your team is really struggling and needing to make sure that they stay alive. If you do decide to use this subclass, there's nothing wrong with popping on Helm of Saint 14 in the helmet slot so you can make sure that your teammates get an overshield when they go into the Ward of Dawn. Another great choice would be to use the Sunbreaker with the bottom tree. The reason we want to use Code of the Siegebreaker is the development of sunspots. If you are getting solar ability kills, it will restore your health, and then you'll be able to create more sunspots. This is a really nice choice here. Warlocks, you also have a lot of different choices that you can make here. I really recommend that if your team is struggling to stay alive, especially from the snipers, having a Well of Radiance is going to be very strong. If you are a Warlock running this, you'll want to make sure that you convert your grenade as many times as you possibly can to heal your other teammates. Throw your grenades as much as possible so you can keep them alive. If you're going to run an Arc subclass, I would recommend using Chaos Reach for those quick burst damage super moments. Let's say, for example, there's a huge mass of enemies coming from the Templar as well. You can go ahead and use the Chaos Reach to knock them all out and then turn really quickly and take care of your Oracle. If you're going to use the Voidwalker subclass, there's nothing wrong with that. Devour will help keep you alive for longer, and there's tons of different enemies that you can actually kill. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using top tree or middle tree here. While Shadebinder does have some interesting properties, I wouldn't necessarily use it here just because it's not about freezing enemies. It's about clearing them as quickly as you can. Although it's a middle choice if you want to try that out. All right, everybody, I hope this helps you out in clearing the raid challenge for this week. Remember, you'll need to clear all of the raid challenges and claim the triumphs to get the chance to earn the Fatebreaker Seal, Triumph, and Title. I'll have videos on how to complete all of these triumphs as well as to earn the Fatebreaker Seal, so you'll want to make sure you get subscribed to the channel so you don't miss anything. Make sure you hit the bell so you are notified whenever I have new videos up. And if you learned something from this video, a positive rating is greatly appreciated. Make sure you comment down below and let me know what you think. If you are still struggling with this challenge, come over to twitch.tv/manodestra. We do tons of help inside of Destiny, from exotic missions to raid challenges to helping people clear their first raids ever. We have a great time doing that, and we also have a great community. So come join us over at twitch.tv/manodestra. In addition, make sure you join the community Discord. We talk about things in Destiny. We share pet pics. We just have a great time in there. So make sure you join up. Good hunting, Guardians. I will see you next time in the universe of Destiny.